Welcome to Quick Hits. I'm your host, Shannon Smith, aka Podcast Smitty. It is WNBA Friday. The trade deadline is complete. We've got some new players going to new places. We got Brittney Sykes going to the Seattle Storm. We've got DiJonai Carrington going to the Minnesota Lynx. We've got Aaliyah Edwards going to the Connecticut Sun. JC Shelton going to the Washington Mystics. It has been crazy. It's been fun. I get to cover it. I had a great time putting this episode together, and I'm looking forward to talking about it with you. If you're new to the show, what's good? I'm Shannon. I'm a fan of sport, and Quick Hits is the only podcast on Boom Broadcasting that talks about the WNBA, and I'm more than happy to take you through this trade deadline and all the sequences that are going to be going on afterwards. So let's hit this theme music and let's start the show.
Can't fall off, now they holler he'll turn, thinking I'ma sell out, talking just to feel heard. I never listen, although they say
Now before I begin, let me go ahead and address that crowd that feels like it's funny and feels like it's cool to throw the intimate female toys out there on the court while the ladies are playing. You know you're giving money to the WNBA, right? You know you're giving ratings and views and revenue to the WNBA by doing this, right? You know you're giving them eyeballs and exposure by doing this, right? You know you're being counterintuitive and giving some type of shine to a organization that you don't support or you don't like. So in a way, you're keeping the WNBA going. Good job. Good job, guys. Way to shoot yourselves in the foot. Now we can go ahead and talk about these trades. Let's go ahead and talk about these trades, as we've got three big trades that happened in the week here going into the trade deadline. The deadline ended August the 7th at 3 p.m. So we're going to be talking about these trades. Got my notes right here. So we'll go ahead and start with the Minnesota Lynx, who made a great trade, getting DiJonai Carrington from the Dallas Wings, and she came over to the Lynx in exchange for Diamond Miller, Carly Samuelson, and a 2027 second-round pick. Now, when I saw this trade, I was shocked because I knew that DiJonai was going to leave. I didn't think that she was going to go to the Minnesota Lynx. That was the biggest thing. So with Minnesota making this trade here, they're saying it's championship or bust this year. Of course, last year when they went to the championship and lost in all 5 games, it was a very good series. But Minnesota has been retooling, and they have played exceptionally well this year with the long win streak that they had at the beginning of the year to how well they've played. They've had Napheesa Collier banged up with a back injury. She's out for the next 2 weeks with the sprain. It's going to be different, and it's going to be difficult for the Minnesota Lynx. But if there's a squad that can rebound from that, it is Minnesota. They have a great coach in Cheryl Reeve, and adding DiJonai Carrington to this team is going to help them defensively. DiJonai is a very good perimeter defender at the guard position. She can go to the 3 as well too, with her being 5'11", a very lengthy guard. She's able to play good basketball in the defensive end, and she's adding a little offense as well. She wasn't happy in Dallas. You could tell her minutes started to dwindle when she was with Dallas. You know, she ended up losing her starting spot, relegated her to the bench. But now she'll be coming off the bench, I believe, for the beginning, with her being with the Minnesota Lynx. In her debut, she put up 13 points off the bench. So that is good for her. I think Minnesota put themselves in a great position after making this trade. Very good move. DiJonai is perfect for this team. She talked about that's the first time she's had fun playing basketball this year. That tells you a lot. I believe that she is going to help Minnesota get into that spot where they're going back to the championship again. I don't see Minnesota not going and representing the Western Conference in the championship. I don't see that. I don't see them not doing it. I think that they're in a good position, even with MVP out for the next 2 games, or the next 2 weeks. I'm sorry. Even with MVP out, I don't see them not getting to the championship this year. When she gets back, when Napheesa Collier gets back, they're going to be getting better yet again. Fee has been putting up a lot of points. She's been rebounding well, still defending well, still an absolute powerhouse of a player. I don't see her not winning the MVP this year. Don't see that happening. She has been a pivotal player for them. But now let's go to Dallas. Let's talk about what's going on with Dallas as well. I think it worked out real good. I still think this is a good trade on both ends. It's good for Minnesota, but it's good for Dallas as well. See, Diamond Miller, she didn't fit with Dallas's scheme. She didn't fit with Minnesota's scheme. She didn't fit with Cheryl Reeve. She wasn't a player that Cheryl Reeve wanted. She likes a player like DiJonai Carrington because of how well she plays on the defensive end. She's a physical guard, more defensive prowess in the perimeter. Dallas is on the rebuild. We all know that. Unfortunately, they're one of the bottom teams in the WNBA, and this is going to help them out because they're building their team around Paige Becker, Isaiah James, and JJ Quinterly, their 3-guard tandem. I think that's the best thing for them to do. When they traded DiJonai Carrington, that's going to help them out tremendously. I don't see Arike Ogunbowale being there next year. I was thinking that they were going to get her traded as well, but that didn't happen. I felt like they could have got some pieces for her. I felt like a first rounder was going to be, I thought that they would get a first rounder for DiJonai. I thought they would. They did not. They ended up getting a 2nd-round pick, which is not bad. They were able to get some players, some pieces for DiJonai because it looked like she was not going back to Dallas. It was a good move for Dallas to trade her, and she's going to do well in Minnesota. So good job on both sides here with Dallas and with Minnesota making the trade. And of course, the next trade that was a big shocker to me was Brittney Sykes being acquired by the Seattle Storm in exchange for Alicia Clark and a 1st-round pick going to the Washington Mystics. This to me, I think, was the best trade. This isn't all the trades. There's another one that came late on Thursday, but this is the trade that I'm very intrigued for and I really like. Now, see, Brittney Sykes has been a player that I really like. I've been high on Brittney Sykes this year. She's been a scoring machine, 15.4 points per game. She was able to get into the All-Star game this year. She subbed in for Caitlin Clark, but she was able to get there. I'm very glad for that. Brittney Sykes is long overdue, 9-year player, has played some very, very good basketball in her time, played very well for the Washington Mystics this year. She was doing very, very good numbers. So this trade was a shock in where she went because Seattle right now with that trade right there, this could put Seattle into the top 5 of teams. I think that that's going to put them over Indiana right now. I think that's going to put them over them with the way that Brittney Sykes has played. You know, Slim is doing very, very well. 4-time all WNBA defensive player. She's done that. Great job by her defensively, offensively. Another 15-point-per-game scorer. That's going to benefit Nneka Ogwumike, Sky Diggs, Erica Wheeler, Gabby Williams. That's going to help them out tremendously. Of course, with the way Sky plays on the defensive end, on the perimeter, same with Gabby. Gabby can score real well. That's also going to help out with bringing Brittney Sykes onto the team. This is going to be interesting. This is really, really a good trade for Seattle that will bolster them. This is also going to give Seattle an opportunity to contend for a championship this year with the older crowd. You know, Sky Diggs is getting up there. Nneka Ogwumike is getting up there. Brittney Sykes is as well. So this is going to be this was a really good trade. I think this was the best trade of the deadline here, not just for Seattle, but also for Washington. Right now, and I'm just going to say this on record, if you're a new WNBA fan, I would consider being a fan of the Washington Mystics, and here's why. The Mystics, shout out to everybody involved in the front office for the Washington Mystics. Not only did they do well in this draft this year, solidifying themselves, the Atkins trade, trading her to Chicago and getting Chicago's pick swap for 2027 is great for Washington. They ended up getting another pick. They got back-to-back picks this year and made back-to-back picks in Sonia Citron and Kiki Arifin. I've been saying her name wrong. I've been saying Arifin, but it's Kiki Arifin. But considering the fact that they've done that with those two players, getting them back-to-back, building this squad, they've had them two as building blocks, great players. They're a young squad. And not only that, they put themselves into a great position by nabbing another pick with the Brittney Sykes deal, getting the pick from Seattle. And it was Seattle's pick, not the other pick that Seattle had, but this is Seattle's actual pick, which will probably be around maybe, I'd say 9 or 10 would probably be Seattle's pick, I believe. But still, it is very, very good for what they got. Washington, they still have three first round picks after that happened at their disposal. Then they've got the 2027 swap pick with Chicago. I like that. This was very smart because Brittney Sykes, what would have happened is with her contract going out, with her contract ending at the end of the year, she would have walked. The Mystics did what every smart team does with a player that is going to walk in free agency that has played very, very well this year and has an expiring contract. You trade a player like that. Brittney Sykes is a great player. Played very, very well this year, but she was not coming back to Washington. She would have found another team, and the Mystics would have been caught holding the bag, would have not had anything to show for with her being on the team. So trading her was the right thing, getting the pick, getting a player. They already waived one of the players in this deal. They already waived one of the players, but Brittney didn't fit age-wise with this team. They're already building with Shakira Austin. They're building with Shug. They're building with Georgia. They're building with Sonia Citron and Kiki Arifin. She didn't fit on this squad, so it was good that they traded her and they were able to do this. The Mystics have a lot of room to play around with 3 draft picks. They can trade up, they can trade down, add pieces to the team. This is good for them. I don't think that Sonia Citron and Kiki Arifin are superstar players. I don't think they are, but yet and still, they might be able to add a superstar player. They might get something out of the draft. You know, the Juju Watkins sweepstakes will be coming up very soon. Lauren Betts will be coming up real soon. These players will be coming. So I don't see why they wouldn't cash in while they can. And after that, the Washington Mystics, they were not through. They were not finished. They did a trade on Thursday, trading Aaliyah Edwards to the Connecticut Sun in exchange for J.C. Shelton and the right to the first-round pick swap in 2026. Look, Connecticut, we all know that they are not going to be in the running for anything. They're looking to rebuild as well. They're looking to rebuild. So the Mystics making this move right here is great. Washington can choose to keep the 2026 first-round pick in its possession, which belonged to the Minnesota Lynx, or take Connecticut's first-rounder that it obtained from the New York Liberty. We're currently second. So you're going to get one of those picks. And, of course, it's probably going to be a bottom pick because Minnesota and New York more than likely may go to the championship. It's a possibility. I do think that these two teams will probably be seeing each other yet again. But yet and still, you can pick one of those. You can have the pick swap. And either way, that's adding another player to this team. This is really, really good. Shout out to the Mystics, to the Washington Mystics. They have done really, really well what they've been doing. They're going to get J.C. Shelton. J.C. may not have been much of a player with the Connecticut Sun, but that's a very, very, that organization right there, they've been stripped bare of all their players. They went to the playoffs last year. They were stripped bare of all their players. J.C. Shelton's not a bad player. They're a young squad. They can work with J.C. Shelton. I believe Aaliyah Edwards will have somebody like Tina Charles that help her along. They still have Marina Mabry. She may not be back next year, but the Connecticut Sun, they have room to grow. They've got nowhere to go but up, considering the fact they're the bottom team. I think Aaliyah Edwards, even though she's been injured for a good bit, she was a big part of the team last year, but she hasn't been this year. Of course, with the draft picks coming in, it's been tough for her, so she's getting a new beginning in Connecticut. Now, looking at these moves here, DiJonai, Brittney, and Aaliyah Edwards, looking at these moves here, the playoff race just got interesting. This is going to be fun. The WNBA is going to be fun because there are 6 squads right now that we could probably say are in the playoffs right now, and that is Atlanta, Phoenix, New York, Minnesota, Seattle, and Indiana. Those are the 6 squads more than likely they're going in there. Seattle has an opportunity to go for a championship. They have the opportunity. This trade puts Seattle over Indiana, in my opinion. They're playing great basketball right now. They're a streaky squad. They've been doing very well, but they're still waiting for Caitlin to come back. They're waiting for Caitlin Clark to come back. Satu Sabali coming back with Phoenix. It looked like it was about to be ugly there. The trade deadline, Phoenix was able to get out of the trade deadline. It was a little tough, but they were able to do it. Breanna Stewart nursing an injury. Nafisa Collier nursing an injury. Seattle has an opportunity to get somewhere right now with the traction that they have. Dallas, they can focus on rebuilding, focus on the future. The Mystics can do the same thing, or they can see what they can win with this young core that they have. They can see what they can do. I'm thinking that Washington might want to lose some more games this year, but seeing what they can do with this young core is not a bad idea. Do I feel like Washington can contend with the likes of LA, Golden State, and the Vegas Aces right now for those last 2 playoff spots? I believe they can. I think so. Without Brittney Sykes, they can't. And same thing with Washington. Do I think Washington can contend with those 3 teams? Las Vegas, Golden State, and the LA Sparks. Not without Brittney Sykes. I don't think so. Minnesota's went without MVP for 4 games this year, and then they're going to be without her until about maybe the 19th of August, if I'm not mistaken. She'll be missed, but I think Minnesota will still be a good squad. I think that they're better. I think their good is better than some other teams' good. I think they are, even without MVP. Now, adding on DiJonai Carrington is going to be beneficial to them, to the Lynx as a whole. They've got the team for the playoffs as well. Watch out for the Liberty, but I think that they will be just fine. This is going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to this playoff race. Let's keep this going. We're going to go ahead and get into the last part of the show, and then we're out of here. Keep going. Now, we've got some news around the league, 2 things we're going to talk about, and then we're going to go ahead and do the matchups for the weekend. We're going to talk about the Chicago Sky. Unfortunately, they're going to be without Angel Reese for a 3rd straight game. She's been out with an undisclosed back injury. She's been sitting. They don't know when she'll be back. No times table of when she's going to return. We all know the Chicago Sky, one of those bottom teams down there in the doldrums of the WNBA right now. I've been reading a lot about them and how their front office hasn't really been good for them in the past couple of years. The way that their organization, the moves that they've made haven't been so great for the Chicago Sky. I feel like the firing of their coach, Therese Witherspoon, I don't think that was a good move. Of course, the Atkins trade that happened, sending her to Chicago from the Washington Mystics, benefited the Mystics more than it did Chicago. So that's something that I've been reading on. I'll probably be talking about that more later on down the road in some episodes of this show. Might do a little bit of independent content. I've been looking to do some independent content, talking about other sports, also with the WNBA, some things that I may have missed when I go forward doing some podcasting. But the big news in the WNBA has to be for the Connecticut Sun. The Sun will be back in Connecticut for the 2026 season, but that could be their last season as they are waiting for the okay from the WNBA for a $325 million sale to Boston's minority owner. I'll be talking about this in the future because this is a big move. This move is going to be interesting for the WNBA, interesting for this Connecticut Sun squad. See, Connecticut, women's basketball runs deep in Connecticut because of the UConn Huskies. Getting this team from Orlando in 2003 was a big thing for them. They've been playing here in Connecticut since 2003, but their practice facility, they're going to okay a $100 million deal for a new practice facility for the Connecticut Sun. I didn't know how true this was, that they rented out their practice facility for a birthday party and they weren't able to even practice. That was insane. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This is a pro squad, and they're renting out their practice facility, which is a small practice facility anyway, for a 4-year-old's birthday party. That is insane. I don't see how this move is not going to be made. I don't see how it's not going to happen. I think this move is long overdue, considering the fact that this is happening to a pro squad. So I don't see how this won't be okayed by the WNBA. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to be covering this because this is a lot of history that could be involved in this New England area. I hate it for the Connecticut Sun, but when you make moves like that, when you don't have the means for a pro team, then that's what happens. And the Boston Celtics, the Boston area, big for basketball culture, with the Celtics being as great as they have been as a franchise. This is going to be a great move. Hate it for Connecticut, but hey, I get the business sense of this as a whole. Now let's talk about the weekend lineup that we've got here. We've got the Friday games. There's 3 games on Friday. We've got the New York Liberty and the Dallas Wings facing off for the 3rd time this year. The series, the head-to-head matchup that they have is tied 1-1. Paige Becker has been lighting up the scoreboard in both of those games, scored 21 in the last game and 20 in the other. She's been doing very, very well for this squad. Rookie of the Year is going to be in her future, but this New York Liberty squad is going to get better because of Phoebich, of Messman, and Jonquel Jones. That's a big front court that you've got to deal with in any team. When Brianna Stewart gets back, they're going to be even better. You know, Phoebich will probably go to the bench. Maybe Messman may go to the bench, or Meesman may go to the bench, maybe. But getting Brianna Stewart back onto the floor is the main priority for the New York Liberty. That's going to be a fun game to watch. Washington versus Minnesota will be next. Head-to-head matchup tied 1-1 between the two. This is going to be the new look Washington Mystics. Brittney Sykes going to Seattle. Got Citron, Arifin, Shakira. You got Shug. You've got Dolson. That's going to be your squad. I would say that's going to probably be your lineup right there. That's going to be good for this young squad to see what they've got. No MVP, of course. She'll be back probably on the 19th, I would say. Minnesota's got the 3-game streak. Washington has the 3-game skid. That was while Brittney Sykes was there. So that'll be one of the games. And then your late game will be Seattle and Las Vegas. Seattle leads the head-to-head matchup 2-1. This is going to be Brittney Sykes. Maybe she might make her debut. I know she's been nagged with the injury. Seattle has the 3-game skid. Vegas has had their share of troubles as a squad this year. But we'll see how they go. We'll see what they've got here on Friday. Then we go into Saturday. Only 2 games on Saturday. Chicago at the Indiana Fever. So the Fever, they lead that matchup convincingly, 3-0. They've won every time they've played the Chicago Sky. This time there's going to be no Angel Reese and no Caitlin Clark. So that is going to be a game that is going to be open. Who knows? But I tell you what, with the way Indiana has played, 7 of their last 10 games, they've won 7 games out of 10. They've been a streaky team. They've played very, very well. Aaliyah Boston, best passing big in the league. Kelsey Mitchell, she's been scoring very well. Sophie Cunningham playing great. Lexi Hull. This squad has really came together. We got to give it up to Stephanie White being the coach that she is, bringing this squad together. It looked like Indiana was on an emotional roller coaster, but I think they've got it right. Chicago and Indiana will be that first game. Then the second game will be the Los Angeles Sparks and the Golden State Valkyries. I like the LA Sparks in this game. LA has been a fun team to watch. Although Golden State leads the head-to-head matchup two games to one, I like the Sparks. The Sparks are a fun squad to watch. Rakia Jackson, Kelsey Plum, Azuria Stevens, De'Erica Hamby. They're playing great. Cameron Brink coming back, adding her into the fold. The Sparks, might want to watch out for the Sparks. That 8th playoff spot, that 7th or 8th playoff spot, looks like it could be theirs. I'm looking forward to that game. Then we go into Sunday. We've got Minnesota versus the New York Liberty. Minnesota played them already. They lead the head-to-head matchup 1-0. This is going to be a preview. This could be the preview of the WNBA Championships. The rematch, of course, but this could be the preview. Who knows? Of course, no MVP, no Breanna Stewart, but this is going to be the clash of bigs as well, too. I think Minnesota has a squad that can contend right now, even without MVP. I think they do. This is going to be fun. That's going to be at 12 p.m. on Sunday. Then the Washington Mystics will take on the Dallas Wings. The scoring threat, which is Paige Becker, this new look Washington Mystics squad, 4 p.m. Atlanta and Phoenix. Now, I like the Dream. The Dream are a good squad. I like the way the Dream play. They're fun to watch. Phoenix getting Satu Sabali back. It looked like there was going to be a little drama in Phoenix right now, but Sabali has played an MVP caliber season, and they need her on this team in order to win. Seattle will play the Los Angeles Sparks at 8 p.m. Brittney Sykes, let's see if she has overcame that injury. I want to see Nneka Ogwumike. I want to see her. I want to see Sky Diggs, Gabby Williams. I want to see what this team has together as a squad. And then the Connecticut Sun will play the Las Vegas Aces at 9 p.m. Of course, the Connecticut Sun, nowhere to go but up, adding Aaliyah Edwards with Tina Charles. I think she's going to coach up Aaliyah Edwards. And then the Las Vegas Aces, of course, when you've got the reigning MVP, I think that they're going to be just fine. That is the show for WNBA Friday. Thank you for watching. Watch more from my guys here on Boom Broadcasting here. Watch more from us. We will entertain you with more sports. So make sure that you're watching. Make sure that you're still here to get the best from my guys here in the field of TV, movies, sports, and sports entertainment. I'm Shannon Smith, and this is Quick Hits.